Good morning, everyone. How is everyone doing this week? We've had a pretty good week. Our chickens finally laid a couple of eggs, and hopefully that will start increasing some. We also got 4 new chickens, and you probably get tired of hearing about my chickens, but I really like my chickens. So that was exciting for us. We also got concrete laid for our house, I forgot what they're footers. That's what they're called, footers laid. So hopefully we'll have some walls this week. So very productive week. As we get ready for the next couple weeks, I know that school's getting ready to start for all of us. I work in the school. I do the therapy at the school, and my kids are getting ready for school. And it can be an exciting time and also a little bit of a scary time with everything going on. So I'm saying some extra prayers for all of us this week. And the other thing is that this week our lesson is going to be from the book of Joshua, and it's chapter 1, verses 1 through 9, and it's about being a leader. So I want you to think about what type of characteristics that means, what type of qualities. I'm trying to think of an easier word. What type of things would you need to be a leader? You guys have any idea? How about, do you need to be brave and strong? Because when you're a leader, you're the one who's making the decisions, leading people, and trying to show them a good way to do things. It could be in different things. It could be at school. It could be at church. But being a leader requires you to be brave and strong. So what do you think it means to be brave and strong? I think to be brave and strong, it means doing something that's hard, doing something that might be a little scary, and but going ahead and doing it, even though it might be scary. That's what it means to be brave and strong. And that's what, like we said, it's what requires to be a leader. So we're going to learn a little bit about this story and who becomes a leader. Okay? So, like I said, it was Joshua chapter 1, verses 1 through 9. After the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord said to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' aide, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now then, you and all these people get ready to cross the Jordan River into the land that I am about to give to them, to the Israelites. I will give you every place where you set your foot, as I promised Moses. Your territory will extend from the desert of Lebanon and from the great river, the Euphrates, all the Hittite country and the Mediterranean Sea in the west. No one will be able to stand against you all the days of your life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with you. I will never leave you nor forsake you. Be strong and courageous, because you will lead these people to inherit the land I swore to their ancestors to give them. Be strong and very courageous. Be careful to obey all the law my servant Moses gave you. Do not turn from it to the right or to the left, that you may be successful wherever you go. Keep this book of the law always on your lips. Meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do everything written in it. Then you will be prosperous and successful. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. So, do you remember the story of Moses? I'll go over that in a little bit, but Moses was the one who led the Israelites out of Egypt, and now that he has died, Joshua has to take over, and that would be very scary. He's a leader of this big group of people, but if you heard 3 different times, God told him to be strong and courageous. So God knew that it would be scary for him, but he just kept reminding him to be strong and courageous. The other thing God mentioned in here is that he would always be with him, no matter what. And that's so important to remember, is that God is always with us. Even when it's scary, even when you might be fearful, he's always with us. So I I want to go over the story of Moses just a little bit. It's not going to be the long version of it, but just kind of review it a little bit so you can remember what Moses had to go through and what Joshua had to go through, because they're in the desert, they're in the wilderness, they're not living in a home and he's leading these people. They're out in the middle of nowhere, and so Moses had to do this, and now Joshua has to do it. So do you remember the Israelites? Do you remember who they were? They were slaves in Egypt for over 400 years. Then God sent Moses to lead them out of slavery across the sea. Remember the Red Sea? And he had to part the waters. That was Moses. And to the land God promised to give them. They were in the wilderness for 40 years. 40 years. Just think of like a dry desert. No, not very much food, not very much water. And they were there for 40 years. I bet those people were a little cranky, don't you think? That would be a little tough being a leader. And what they were learning out there, they were learning how to be God's people. They were learning that to trust in God, because God provided them with food and water, and he took care of them. They were also learning how to obey God's laws, which were the 10 Commandments. Moses was their leader until he died, and then God chose Joshua to lead the Israelites after Moses passed away. And Joshua was Moses' servant, so he got to witness all what Moses has done. God also told Joshua not only is he the leader of the Israelites, but he was going to lead them to the promised land. So he was the one that was going to take them into the promised land, which means they were not going to be in the wilderness anymore. God told Joshua to be brave and strong. God also promised to be with Joshua just as God was with Moses. And God also instructed to follow his instructions, for Joshua to follow God's instructions and to study God's instructions. And so those were very good tips that God gave him so that he could be a good leader. So it was important that Joshua listened to God, followed God's rules and commandments to help be successful in leading the people into the promised land. So that was the story of Moses and how Joshua became the leader after Moses. I want to talk about a leader a little bit. It's very important for us as Christians to be a good leader, to set a good example on how to lead others and how to show them to make good choices. So another word you might hear of when being a good leader is called a mentor. Okay? Mentor is someone who gives a good example on how to lead, and I want you to think about who could be a good mentor for you guys. I'm sorry, I meant to check the comments. I haven't seen anything yet, though. Let me turn that way. Oh, I see some comments now. My phone's being silly. Let me try to get it up again. There we go. Oh, I like that. Yeah, you could be very nice as a leader, but you're right. I don't know if that's Pat or Daphne, but you guys are right. You have to be nice, but you also have to be firm. You have to put them back into line if they get out of line. And I love that. That's a great example of being a good leader. Mom and dad are a good mentor. That's exactly right. So those are some good mentors for you. Mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, anybody really in church for the most part, maybe your preacher. Those are all really good mentors to look up to. But did you know that you could be a mentor as well? Even as a kid, you can be a mentor to your peers. And there's been times that I've been in awe of a child, of their decisions they make, and just the pure love that they show. They can be a mentor to me sometimes even as well. So I want you to think about the examples you set for others. Think about what you do in your life and what kind of decisions you make and how you act, and how that could set an example for others. How could you be a good mentor to your peers, to your friends, to people in school who may not even know you? How could you be a good mentor? I always come back to this with being a good mentor. I think kindness goes a long way. Being kind, being consistent, that means always being there. Being forgiving, those are all good ways of being a good mentor. And to remember that someone's always watching. So even the little things you do out of kindness, someone's watching, someone's appreciating that. Even just speaking to someone can make a big difference to their day. So just remember that you can be a mentor as well, especially in school and around your friends and how you act. I always say when you're doing things and how you act in your life, would someone know that you're a Christian? Would someone know that you follow Jesus's ways? And the answer, I know most of you kids, and yes, I know you make good examples. So be a good mentor, be a good leader, even when it's hard, even when it's going against what everybody else is going against. Maybe it's not the cool thing to do, but know that what's right and what's wrong, and show others that, and that's how you be a good mentor. Let's see. Sometimes as mom and dads, we also can make mistakes too, but we try to show good examples to our kids, and I see that through you guys every day. So, to be chosen, Joshua was chosen to be the leader. And I want you to think about that, what that would feel like to be chosen to do something. But have you ever been chosen to do something special? Maybe you were chosen to be the leader of the classroom activity or for a special responsibility at church. Think about the different plays we've been in, the different parts you've had to do at church, maybe saying a prayer during our uses, when we lead the services at church, the different things you've done there. If you've ever been chosen for a special duty, chances are this made you feel a variety of emotions. Perhaps you felt good, honored, or proud. Perhaps you felt a little nervous about the responsibility as well. But have you ever not been chosen? How did it feel? Maybe you hoped that your teacher, parents, or someone you looked up to would put you in charge of something only to have them choose someone else for the special job. In these situations, we sometimes feel let down. It can be hurtful or frustrating if not being chosen. However, we have to remember that God made each of us in God's image and that we are special to God. When we are disappointed by not being chosen for a special responsibility, we have to remember that God has great and special purposes for each of us. While it may be someone else's turn to shine, your turn will eventually come. I think that's hard sometimes when you have a thing you want to do. For example, Liam in third grade, he did not get he was like I don't want to say a finalist, but he tied with someone for student council in his class, and they had to revote, and he lost by a vote, and that was really hard for him. He didn't get chosen for that. But then in fourth grade, he got it. So he learned what to do differently. He didn't do a speech his third grade year, and the other kids did. And I think that helped his fourth grade year because he came up with a speech. And so he got chosen for that. And that was great. He worked hard and he got that. And so that was nice. So think about different things that you've been chosen for, times where you've got to do what you wanted to do, and then times when you didn't. And we'll never always get chosen every time. Remember that. So we have to learn how to accept when we aren't chosen and what we can do to how we act when we weren't chosen. So those are some good things to remember. Now, I think what we will do is we're going to end on that. I want you to think about today. I want you to think about Joshua. Joshua was the new chosen leader of Israel, the Israelites. So think about how he felt. Think about that God was with him. God told him he would be with him the whole time. God promised him, and God never leaves us. So even though Joshua was scared, God reminded him to be strong and courageous and that he would be with him. He reminded him to follow God's laws with the 10 Commandments at that point, and that would help him to be a good, strong leader for the Israelites. The other thing is thinking about what it means to be a good leader. A good leader not only has to make hard decisions, but a good leader needs to show what a good leader is about through kindness, through generosity, through what we call empathy, knowing how others feel. There's more to it than making decisions. So let's be working on being a good leader. Let's work on being kind and doing what God would want us to do through following his word that we've learned in the Bible. So what I want you to do is bow your head and we're going to say a prayer. Dear God, we give thanks for our family, our friends, and our family. Give us strength to follow their example and to be faithful leaders. Amen. All right, everybody. I hope you have a good week, and I will see you back next week. Bye.